All right, so I'm not sure if you're aware, but up on the screen you can see that our graphics has once again changed because we're into a new section. We are dealing with a deep vindication, and that'll take us through basically the end of the year before we start describing what's going to happen over the next year. Now, mind you, of course, we're still doing John, just a lot like before when we changed to our last overarching theme. Now we are going to be discussing the events that have taken place after Christ was crucified on the cross. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is found in John 20, verses 11 through 18. And then once I'm done, somebody else will finish. Josh will finish. There we go. Josh will take us out for the year. Yes. Oh, I guess it says that right there, and I could have just read it. The things you know. Okay. So let's go ahead and start by reading John 20, 11 through 18. Mary was standing outside the tomb crying, and as she wept, she stooped and looked in. She saw two white-robed angels, one sitting at the head and the other at the foot of the place where the body of Jesus had been lying. "Dear woman, why are you crying?" the angels asked her. "Because they have taken my Lord. They have taken away my Lord," she replied, "and I don't know where they have put him." She turned to leave and saw someone standing there. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him. "Dear woman, why are you crying?" Jesus asked her. "Who are you looking for?" She thought he was the gardener. "Sir," she said, "if you have taken him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will go and get him." "Mary," Jesus said. She turned to him and cried out, "Rabboni," which is Hebrew for teacher. "Don't cling to me," Jesus said, "for I haven't yet ascended to the Father. But go, find my brothers, and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene found the disciples and told them, "I have seen the Lord," and then she gave them his message. All right, so setting the scene a little bit, right? We talked about the garden where he's buried. We're all kind of familiar with the scene, right? We talk about it during Easter all the time, right? So Mary and Mary come to the tomb. They discover the stone has been rolled away. They run back and tell the disciples. Two of the disciples race to the side of the tomb, and they look in, and they see nothing but the linens that the body had been wrapped in laying there, but nothing in them. And they turn around and they leave. Now we're joining up. Mary has come back with them. Mary Magdalene has come back with them. She has followed them back to the tomb, and after they look in, after they turn around and leave, theoretically running back to tell the rest of the disciples what has taken place, she finally has the courage, instead of just standing out there, seeing that the stone has been rolled away, she has the courage to duck down low and look in to the cave. She has the opportunity to look into the tomb, and what does she see there but two angels sitting there? Now, I'm not sure if any of you have had the opportunity to just suddenly see two live beings in a dark place that wasn't supposed to have anything alive in it. It's got to be kind of a shocking experience for you, let alone angels. The way that it's described in the other Gospels describes them as being clothed in pure white and glowing with the glory of God. Then as she turns to leave, she sees somebody. She doesn't recognize him. So I want to ask you a question. As you came into church today, you all saw me, right? There's something different about me today. I shaved. Did you immediately recognize me? Yeah, right? You know who I am. Regardless of if my face has changed, regardless of if I cut my hair weird, regardless of the clothes I wear, you know who I am. You have a context for that. Now, what happens when you don't see me in church? What happens when we're walking through a park and you just happen to pass me? Or you're walking through the store and you walk right by me without even noticing that I'm there. There's a context for things. You know who I am regardless of how I look here in the church. You know who I am when I go to your house regardless of exactly how I look. But if you take that completely out of context, if you go to a store, if you go to a park, you probably all experienced the time where you walk right by somebody, didn't even know that they were there. You weren't expecting to see them. You pass by them as you drive by down the street. You don't even realize that they're right there. Even though you may make momentary eye contact, it doesn't register with you. Now, imagine if you're not only experiencing that, but you're teared up because you're crying and mourning the loss of someone that you loved. Not just someone that you loved, but someone that had saved you. Even before Christ died, he had saved Mary. He had saved her from her life as she had been living it. He had saved her from demons. He had cast the demons out of her and set her free. There's a deep relationship with her. What else has Mary done in the past that's shown this deep passion that she has for Christ, this deep relationship? You guys remember what else she's done? She washed his feet. She broke open a bottle of expensive perfume and anointed him with it. There's this deep connection that she has with this person. And when she turns around, she can't even recognize him until he speaks her name. Just like when you're walking through the store and you see me. Now, mind you, we probably don't have that deep personal relationship that Mary had with Jesus. And to that I say, why? But we'll get there eventually. That's all part of the relationship that we're called to have with each other. Until that moment that I speak your name, probably wouldn't recognize me either. I know this from personal experience. There's even some of you in here that I've snuck up on in the store. I really wasn't sneaking, although I've been accused of that at work a lot. I'm very silent. Think of the joy of seeing that person that you have such a close personal relationship with. Once Mary realizes who it is that is standing there, what does she do? She screams out, "Teacher." Now, the next words that Jesus says is, "Let go of me." I like to imagine, because it's perfectly plausible, when she turns around and when he says her name, she falls to her knees and grabs onto his legs. That's so hard to believe, right? I'd do that, but I'd hurt myself. He says, "Let go of me." Now, he says, "Let go of me," because what? I have not yet returned to my Father. So, now that we have this scene laid out for us, I want you to envision yourself as Mary. Why do you go to the tomb to begin with? Why do you go to the tomb? Why do you go to a cemetery at all? Pay respects. If it's just been a couple of days and you visit the gravesite, You miss them. You're in mourning for them. What was that, Michelle? Yes. She went there specifically because she had spices, because the body had not been prepared properly. The body, she was wondering, her and Mary were wondering how they were going to get the stone rolled away so that they could prepare the body. But they are doing this because they're in mourning, because they miss the physicality of Jesus. Think about those people in your life that have died. What is it that you really miss about them? Them being there. It's not even the opportunity to spend time with them, because we all know that we're not necessarily next to those people. We're not necessarily actually spending time with them right now. But there's that possibility that we can, right? That chance is out there that we could meet up with them and we can meet face to face. And the only time that it's an issue that we're not face to face with someone, that possibility is gone. There is never the possibility of being face to face with that person again. We're so wired to that physicality, that possibility that we can actually see somebody. We can touch them. We can be in their presence. And that's what we miss when that's gone. Mary was doing a logical thing for humans to do. She was seeking out Jesus, the last place that she knew he was to be. He was supposed to be in that tomb. But as a response shows, she was taken aback by the fact that she couldn't even physically be with him in the tomb. As she turned around, still wondering where Jesus had gone, she didn't even recognize him standing right next to her, because he was out of context. She was looking for him in the tomb. She was looking for him the last place that she knew he would be. She was looking for him to be in the last state that she knew him to be, which was dead. And then when she realized it was him, she clings to him. Now, if you have just lost something that is so precious to you, if you have lost the physicality of that, I mean, people get excited when they find their keys again. I get excited when I find my remote. The remote used to be very precious to me, but I've been delivered. Thank you. She clings to the physicality of him because it is there again. And even though she's in shock at this point, she goes to find him. He's not where she expects him to be. Then he reveals himself to be very much alive to her. And in this shock and disbelief, she takes action, answering his call to go and tell the disciples. So there's some questions that come to mind. So just as Mary was seeking out Jesus in the last place he's supposed to be, where do we seek out Jesus? And when we seek him out, when we look for the physicality of that relationship. Are we holding on to just the physicality of things? Do you remember the truth of the matter, which is that we are not physical beings, first and foremost? We are spiritual beings. So even though these bodies may fall away, even though they may be infirm, just think of praise and prayer this morning. We discussed at least 4 people with cancer. Even though these bodies may be infirm, we hold on to them. The thing that scares most people about death is the fact that they won't have this. Now, mind you, I look pretty good, but I will be so excited not to have my knee that hurts just because it's starting to rain. Not to have my back that, just hurts. But we hold on to the physicality. Whenever we lose somebody close, whenever we can no longer have that possibility of that physicality of them, we're reminded that we're holding on to that physicality. We're holding on to this. So are you holding on to the physicality of things? And as Mary did not recognize Jesus out of context, she went specifically looking for his body. She knew exactly what she expected to find, and she didn't find it. The question is, are we stuck looking for things in the context that we expect them to be? How do you know that you found what you're looking for? How do you recognize what has been presented as the answer to you? As Mary clings to him to prevent him from going, what are you afraid of letting go of? What are you afraid to let go of? And I can't read the rest of my question. Oh, that's a different question altogether. It's the same thing. So what are you afraid of letting go of? And are you afraid to let go of what you know for what will be? Do you find yourself tethered to the past? Tethered to your own understanding? And then Mary takes action. Even in shock, she answers the call, suspending her disbelief at what has just taken place. The person that she has sought out as a dead individual has been found alive. Angels have spoken to her. And immediately, she answers the call. Are you hung up on the circumstances of the call? In the midst of disbelief, mourning, deep sadness, and confusion, Mary overcame all of that. So as we begin to quiet our hearts to partake in communion, as we begin to contemplate the sacrifice that has been made, as we commemorate through the communion the broken body and the spilled blood, we need to remember that it doesn't end there. The reason that we commemorate it is because that was the beginning. Think about the answer to your prayers. Does the answer always come as you expect it to? Are you ready to recognize it when it does come, even if it's completely out of context? Think about being ready to do what is needed in faith, in all circumstances, just like Mary has done.